Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。Reporters Without Borders, an NGO set up and funded by Western governments to promote and defend press freedom worldwide, has come out against me, a reporter in China, for exposing two French reporters who created fake news that led to dozens of ordinary Chinese workers losing income and the further spreading of fake anti-China lies. Remember my video featuring these two lovely ladies who literally fabricated child and forced labour when they snuck into Chinese factories earlier this year? Well, apparently my exposing their hideous propaganda has helped endanger those two morally bankrupt frauds who are apparently now receiving death threats online. And Reporters Without Borders, funded by USAID, the French government and George Soros, are not happy. Today, we'll go behind the propaganda. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Borham here in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. Two French journalists have been targeted by a massive, ongoing cyber harassment campaign, amplified by Chinese state propaganda outlets, for their participation in a report on the investigative program Cash Investigation, aired on the public television channel France 2. That's how French NGO Reporters Without Borders are framing the backlash against two French reporters who came to China to produce a French TV program that was literally all lies. Now, if you haven't seen my recent video detailing their blatant and shameless lies, including getting a young girl who was waiting for her mum to finish work at a factory to pretend to do some sewing, which they then filmed and said was evidence of child labour, to completely mistranslating Mandarin Chinese to fit their narrative, I highly recommend you watch that video first and then come back to this video. I'll put the link in the description below. Reporters Without Borders issued a press release with the headline, China. Reporters Without Borders condemns cyber harassment campaign fueled by state-backed smear campaign against two French journalists, where they try to paint the two French women behind a completely fabricated hit piece on China as the victims, believe it or not. Their press release continues. Since 1 March, thousands of posts containing violent insults and death threats have flooded the social media accounts of the two French journalists and Cash Investigation on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and the comment sections of videos attacking the reporters and the outlet. Wow, just wow. And I have to let you guys know now that their entire press release, which paints China as the bad guy for correcting the hideous and damaging lies of those two French propagandists, never once mentions the three blatant lies they told, which I clearly and fairly debunked here and in a Twitter thread I wrote. As soon as my video went live, the two so-called reporters, Justine Jankowski and Marine Zambrano, blocked me on Twitter, showing clearly that they had no interest in clearing their names or refuting my findings. Then the next thing I heard was now they are the victims. Hilarious. Reporters Without Borders claims that the two charlatans are now fearful for their lives because of online comments in China, like this one. Spreading rumours, slandering, making things up. Let's hope I don't run into them in China. I will definitely slap them. LOL. And they seem to be quite annoyed at China's Xinhua news agency laying out the lies the two told and correcting them. That has led to state-sanctioned bullying, they claim. I'm not even joking. They wrote, on 16 March, Reporters Without Borders observed that Chinese state-controlled entities, including the Xinhua news agency, began relaying the online campaign's rhetoric, discrediting the journalists and the program as poorly made propaganda against China. By repeating key narratives from the online attacks, these state outlets are reinforcing, legitimizing, and expanding the harassment campaign on an international scale, a practice known as information laundering. What? Honestly, you can't make this crap up. The initial wave of attacks against the two came from Chinese social media, they claim, but then it grew because of people like me. They wrote, while the harassment campaign originally stemmed from Chinese accounts, it later gained traction among Western influencers linked to China. Remember that, linked to China. Some verified X users joined in, with their posts amassing over 300,000 views. One such figure, Andy Borham, a New Zealander based in Shanghai, identifies himself as a video journalist for Shanghai Daily on X. His account was labelled as state-affiliated media by X until the program withdrew the label in April 2023. He also runs a YouTube channel aiming to counter the Western anti-China narrative. In a 2022 interview with the New Zealand outlet Newsroom, he declared, "I'm extremely proud to be a voice for China." Can you guys see what they're doing there? They're trying to equate my support for China to somehow being a tool of the Chinese government or the evil CCP, which is quite ironic given where Reporters Without Borders get their funding from. Now, you guys are probably familiar with that dodgy US government outfit called USAID, which funded a lot of anti-China and pro-US projects around the world, including Radio Free Asia, Voice of America, and even the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. Recently, their funding was completely shut down by Trump and his Doge team. Well, guess what? USAID has also funded Reporters Without Borders, and so have other Western governments who pay directly to the group. In fact, a significant part of their funding has come from the French government. Interesting, right? Check this out. This is hilarious. They have a section of their press release titled "China, a Predator of Press Freedom," where they wrote, "The cyber harassment of Cash Investigation is the umpteenth example of the challenges facing anyone who wants to practice journalism in China." Now, I just have to cut in here because that is some serious mental and disinformation gymnastics going on right there. Let me read that again. The cyber harassment of Cash Investigation is the umpteenth example of the challenges facing anyone who wants to practice journalism in China. Now, I think you guys know exactly what I'm going to say. If you're a foreign journalist, you can come to China. You can produce your reports, but do not make up lies. It's that simple. Trying to paint Justine Jankowski and Maureen Zambrano as two innocent journalists just trying to do their jobs, as opposed to what they've been proven to be, which is two liars crafting fake news to discredit China, is absolutely 100% a morally bankrupt and vile thing to do. It's no wonder that Reporters Without Borders didn't bother to outline the lies the two spread, which I detailed very fairly and very clearly in my video and Twitter thread. Now listen to what their editorial director, Anne Bocond, had to say. "The harassment these two French reporters are facing is unacceptable. They're receiving death threats that make them fear for their physical safety, all because they did their job as journalists." Honestly, I am completely lost for words. What Reporters Without Borders is doing now, by extension, is sanctioning Western reporters coming to China and fabricating complete lies and basically saying, "Do your thing, we've got your back." And that is absolutely shameful. I suggest they change their name to Reporters Without Morals, which is a much better fit. And on that note, that will be it for today, you guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you as shocked as I am that someone is coming out to defend those two lying misfits? And do you agree that Reporters Without Borders is setting a shameful example? Do let me know down below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.